Section 1, what is identity and the importance of it? So in this like identity layer, there's 5 layers. At the bottom, we have awareness, because at our cores, we are simply just aware. We are just experiencing whatever is around us, and we're just simply observing. That's us at our core, an observer, awareness. And this awareness materializes in the physical world through a body and a mind. I can prove that you're simply awareness through a meditation. And if you do the meditation correctly, and what I mean by this is that you just focus on your breath and your breath only, you're not thinking, you're just focusing on the inhale and exhale, you can see that you're just awareness. So let's try it right now. You can see if you did it correctly and you were like focusing on your breath, you can see that it felt like you yourself wasn't breathing, rather you were observing the breath. It felt like the breath coming out of your nostrils wasn't actually yours, and you were just watching, spectating the breath, which is crazy to think about. You know, like that meme or joke where it's like you just randomly just gain consciousness or just randomly have memories at like 5 or something. Like if you try to go back to a memory when you were like 1 year old, you can't like, have any recollection of it. This is because you're not fully aware. And that awareness is kind of like in this limbo where it's controlling you, but it's not at the same time. And what happens during those young years, like 1 to 5 years old, is you're actually building an identity. You suck up all the experiences, good or bad, things that were told to you, anything and everything you can think of, you basically sucked it up. And this created the basis of your identity. Now, what exactly is identity? Identity is who you truly see yourself to be. No facade, no mask to hide it. It's who you truly see yourself to be. And this is built off the experiences that you're subjected throughout your life. And the core identity is the influencer of everything else. After your identity, you have beliefs. These are basically just things you believe to be true, right? And these things can be either internal or external. Internal beliefs always start with I am. Like, for example, I am smart, I am cool, I am dumb, I am worthless. These are all beliefs about yourself eternally. And external beliefs are about things beyond yourself. For example, let's say I say Travis Scott is better than Future, or capitalism is better than communism, or like AI is gonna ruin our society and enslave us. Those are all like, they're beliefs because they're not objective facts, but they're beliefs that are beyond myself. Now, these are obviously important, but internal beliefs are the ones that are going to be like the most important. Next is your thoughts. Thoughts are just the things you think, and that's really about it. And finally, you have actions. Actions are the things that you do. So if you go to the gym, that's an action. If you walk, that's an action, and you get the point. So why is identity so important? It's because your identity influences everything before it. So your identity influences your beliefs, and your beliefs influence your thoughts, and your thoughts influence your actions. So you see how this kind of like domino effects, that your identity is basically the basis of everything else that you do and think. I like to think of identity as a crane, and the crane can either have a hook to build the building up or have a wrecking ball to tear everything down. But just because your identity is deep within you and it's like ingrained in you basically, that doesn't necessarily mean you can't change it. Section 2, changing your actions. Why am I starting with actions if it's the last one? It's because changing your actions is the most important between beliefs and thoughts in terms of like changing your identity. And this whole culture of like self-improvement proves that all self-improvement is just changing your actions so you can create a new identity, and this new identity and self-image influences the results you make. So the power of actions is legit because there's a whole space where it's just about changing your actions. Now there's 2 variables when it comes to like actions, especially the ones that are important, and it's resistance and discipline. Resistance is that feeling like you don't want to do this thing, like you don't want to go to the gym, so you're making excuses for yourself not to go to the gym or work on that piece of content or not meditate today or avoid eating that piece of junk food. Those thoughts that are like, you don't have to do it, let's skip it today, that's resistance. And at its core, all resistance really is that identity that you have now influencing your thoughts and feelings about this thing. Because your current identity, it doesn't believe that you're good enough to do this thing. It doesn't believe you're good enough to have this goal and progress in that goal. Your current identity is comfortable with mediocrity and believes that that's what you deserve. But the very existence of this current identity shows us that there's another identity that wants to do the work, that isn't comfortable with mediocrity, that wants to be exceptional. Because we are a duality. We have the capacity to be good and evil, smart and dumb, lazy and hardworking, disciplined and undisciplined. We have the capacity to be the opposite of both sides on the spectrum, because we're simply all those things. We can be both evil and good. We can both be smart and dumb, lazy and hardworking, disciplined and undisciplined. We're all of those things, but we simply just favor one side. And in this case, all you're really doing is you're simply just favoring the side that wants mediocrity over the one that wants to be exceptional. And you can see this conflict between the two sides. Let's say you want to go to the gym, and one side of you is like, nah, go later. And another side of you is like, no, come on, let's go to the gym. Kind of like, that cliche of the devil and the angel on your shoulder. The same thing applies. There's a conflict there. And it's basically just your current identity and your new, more desirable identity arguing with each other on what to do. This brings me into my next variable, which is discipline. All discipline really is that new identity, that more desirable identity speaking to you. The identity that loves to work hard and progress in their goals. A part of you that wants to be extraordinary. That's all really discipline is. It's just that part speaking to you. That's the true essence of discipline. And every time you listen to that voice over the old voice, that old identity, that old voice gets a little quieter. And the new voice gets a little louder. And every time you listen to that new voice, that voice that is telling you to go to the gym, that voice that's telling you to work on the business, every time you listen to it, that old voice that's telling you no, don't do it, gets a little quieter, and those actions get a little easier to do. And then years go by and now you're working hours a day or going to the gym, and it just feels like second nature. Because through those years, you listen to the new identity so many times that now its voice is so loud that it simply just drowns out the old identity. So basically, the ideal action is one that will make the new or desired identity voice louder than the current and undesirable one. And you do this through a goal. What is it that you want to achieve? What is the thing that you want to do? Next, find the things that if you don't do them, you fail. And you can do this through simplification. Ask yourself, what is it that I need to do, not want to do, need to do, and if I don't do it, everything else is wrong. So let's say, for example, your goal is an aesthetic body. Ask yourself, what is it that I need to do, and if I don't do it, everything else is wrong? Well, you need to work out hard. You need to be in a calorie surplus or deficit, depending on your goals, if you want to lose or gain weight, as well as eating healthy foods with lots of protein. And you need to sleep. And if you don't do any of those, you're not going to achieve your goals of having an aesthetic body. Those are the first principles that basically make up an aesthetic body, or at least the process of making up an aesthetic body. If it's a business, ask yourself, what are the things that I need to do in order to create a successful business? Keyword need. You need to ask yourself need, because that means that it's important. Well, you need a good product or service that delivers on your promise. You need to actually get customers through advertising and marketing, or like outreach or whatever, just getting customers. And then you need to actually close deals with the customers through sales, so they actually, give you money. And if you don't know the things that you need to do in order to achieve your goal, whatever it is, you simply just don't know enough about that goal. So you just have to learn about that thing through reading books or watching videos related to your goal. So you've got your goal and you got the things you need to do. Now, all you simply have to do is just do those things on a daily basis until the voices of your current and undesired identity is too weak to compete with the new and desired one. And the way that you can basically help yourself do this is through 1, progressive overload, and 2, you can simplify your actions. What progressive overload does is it basically builds up the discipline while keeping the same resistance. And simplifying your actions lowers the resistance, but you keep the same discipline. And pairing these two together will make the battle between these two identities so much easier. So first, let's go and do progressive overload. Now, what I mean by progressive overload is that, in the gym where, progressive overload, you basically increase the weight so you can stimulate the muscle more. The same thing applies. So basically, you have things that you need to do so you can achieve your goals. We've established that, right? You can do progressive overload in two ways. You can progressive overload through the lens of a week or through the lens of a day. A lens of a week approach means, like, let's say like you go to the gym 2 times a week, which is like your start point. And once 2 days a week feels too easy, or you have the desire to do more than 2 times a week, you start doing 3 times a week, then 4 times a week. And then the process repeats itself until you're like at 5 to 6 days a week. A lens of a day approach is like every day you vow to work on your business or study or read the Bible to get closer to God 2 hours every day. And that's like your max, right? Like after that, like you just lose focus. What I want you to do is when 2 hours feels too easy, right? So just have like a block of time where you just say, okay, this is what I'm going to do in these 2 hours. And once that 2 hours gets too easy, increase the amount of time you do the deep work or study or whatever it is by 30 minutes. So now it's 2 hours and 30 minutes. And those 30 minutes are going to feel like hell, I know. But you're just going to push yourself to do just an extra 30 minutes of that thing. And when that gets too easy, you just bump it up to 3 hours. And you can do this process for as long as you want. And you can do this process as long as you want, obviously. But 8 to 12 hours is a good range to balance quality and quantity. So that's basically just progressive overload. You slowly do more hours, or you just do more days of the things that you need to do, and you just gradually maximize your input of those things. And that's basically progressive overload. And basically this process basically just that's basically how you just work hard. That's how you work hard. You slowly ease into it. And that's basically it. For simplification, you simply simplify the steps it takes you to do a certain action so many times that it becomes so easy that even the laziest version of you can do it. So let's take the gym, for example. The goal is to actually get to the gym, because after that, why wouldn't you work out? You're already in the gym, right? Now, usually people just think about the gym like this. You get dressed to go to the gym, and then you walk, travel, or drive to the gym. But what if you simplified it to a point where step 1 is like open your closet, step 2 is pick out the shirt, step 3 is pick out the pins, like that small, like that simplified. Because I know that the laziest version of myself can simply just open the closet, because the closet is right here, like literally it's almost an arm's length away from me, and my bed is right there. I can take like 10 steps and go over here, no matter how lazy I am, right? But the more important part is that the opening of the closet gives you momentum to go and do step 2, because step 2 is so easy. Then step 3. So think of simplifying as making resistance to do that action chopped up into the smallest pieces you can possibly can, because it will make it seem easier than it actually is, and it will make like a seemingly big task seem so small. And that's basically how you're kind of like tricking your current identity to do the thing. You're like, oh, this is not that bad. You're chopping up the resistance into smaller steps, and by the time, right, you're already there, it's like you're already doing the thing, right? You're already working out. You're already, working on the business if you simplify it like that much. And then your brain has no option but to work or work out. For example, I do this all the time. For example, I have boxing, and I have it like at a time where honestly I'm mentally drained. I've worked for probably 10 hours at this point, making content and doing outreach, going on calls, all that stuff, and I'm tired. And the resistance between me and going to the boxing gym is bigger than it actually should be. So what I did is I made step 1 simply to open my door and basically go into like the hallway, right? And that step is something that the laziest version of myself can do. I can walk 20 steps, open like my front door, and step into the hallway. So if my laziest self can do it, that means even if I'm mentally drained, I can do that now. And again, this will give me momentum to then go into the elevator, go down, walk to the bus, and then take the train, and then I'm already there and might as well go, right? So basically all this does is that it makes the battle between resistance and discipline, or the battle between your undesirable identity and desirable identity, go into your favor of the desirable identity. Section 3, beliefs. Now in this section, we will be focusing on beliefs, specifically limiting beliefs. Now the true nature of beliefs, good or bad, is that they aren't you. At the end of the day, your awareness. You aren't these beliefs. They are simply just things you or awareness take form as. That's why beliefs start with I am. I am is you. You ever heard of the quote that I am that I am? I'm pretty sure that this quote is in the Bible. This quote shows us that you're a formless being. That's awareness. Awareness is just formless. And you're just simply I am. And when you attach words like smart or worthless or funny or whatever it is, you are taking form of that thing. At first, you are I am. And then these beliefs come in and replace that second I am. And you take form of that belief. So basically, you just take form of whatever beliefs like you attach I am to. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Understanding that you simply take form of whatever belief or like word you attach to the I am phrase is pivotal in understanding this concept I'm about to show you. A second thing we need to understand is that our subconscious mind stores these beliefs, and that the process of you taking form of these beliefs occurs in the unconscious part of your mind. The closest you are to your subconscious is actually when you're in a state where you're almost asleep. Like, you know, when you're tired, right, and your eyes are closed, but you're still aware of your surroundings, and you're not quite sleeping, right? That's the closest you are to your subconscious mind. Not like the closest you ever are. Well, when you are in your subconscious mind is when you're dreaming. But by that time, you're not really conscious of it, right? Like, it's just pure subconscious. But like the state akin to sleep, as they call it, is the closest state where you're conscious, but also you're like near the subconscious aspect of your mind as well. Knowing these two things makes what I'm about to say make sense. If you want to change your beliefs, especially limiting beliefs, like those beliefs that like, oh, we can't do it, this is hard, is this for us? Are we even going to achieve this? Limiting beliefs like that, and limiting beliefs are just negative internal beliefs. You use something called the law of assumption. Coined by Neville Goddard, the law of assumption basically states that you can assume your reality and therefore can materialize your reality. Think of it as like a scene, right? Or like in a movie screen, and you have the projector. This thinks that like you can create a scene in your mind, put it in the projector, and it can project out into like the movie screen, which is your reality. What this means is that you can visualize you at your goal before you even done it. Like Conor McGregor, he did this against Jose Aldo. He essentially assumed how Jose Aldo was going to come at him, and assumed that he was going to become champion through visualizing it like it already happened. So basically, in the law of assumption, you create a scene, and in this scene, you want to make sure that it's a scene after you achieve your goals. So if your goal is an aesthetic body, create a scene where you already have the aesthetic body. If it's 10K a month, create a scene where you look at your Stripe or whatever it is, you scroll and see that last month you made 10K. The first principle is to make sure that the scene already assumes that you've achieved your goal already. So the image that you're about to put in your mind, make sure that it already assumes that you already have the thing that you want, or your goal basically. The second principle is make sure that the scene is fast, a quick like 10 to 15 seconds, because all you're going to do is just replay that scene, and finally you want to make sure that that scene has a feeling attached to it. It can be relief, happiness, excitement, whatever it is, make sure that there's an emotion attached to it. Because remember, emotion is just energy in motion. That means when you're feeling emotions, that means energy is flowing into your subconscious. And the beautiful part is your subconscious can't tell reality from your mind. So it thinks that like the feelings you're feeling right now and that scene that you're feeding it basically thinks that it's true. And it basically thinks that the scene is true and the emotions tied to it is true. And it will slowly materialize it. But you have to do actions. You can't just like, oh, do this, visualize it, and then just sit there and expect it to happen. You're going to have to still do actions. Work is the price for like this mental like scene that you have. The work is the bridge between here, and then, what was I trying to say? Work is the bridge between now and the future. You're seeing the future already, but you have to do the work, and you have to like, put in the work and work hard in order to bridge that gap. So for me, I want 1 million subs. This means a golden play button. So every day before I fall asleep, and this is when you should do the law of assumption when you're just about to fall asleep, I visualize my scene I created where I'm holding the golden play button and I'm feeling the smooth metal, like I'm looking at my channel name at the bottom and the little note that says for hitting 1 million subscribers. I see the walls in my room. And I also want to add that the scene should be in first person. So when you're visualizing your scene, make sure you're looking through the eyes of like you, yourself, not like a bird's eye view. And more importantly, I felt like the emotions the emotions of happiness, the emotions of like, fulfillment that I got from looking at this play button. And that's basically how I like do law of assumption. And I also use the law of assumption to get a pretty aesthetic body, so I know it works. So we'll see. Anyways, as long as you do those, you're good. Section 4, changing your thoughts. I saved this for last because it's pretty easy. Because if you know how to change your beliefs and actions, your thoughts will come to you. It's that easy. But meditation is key. And I'm gonna keep on saying it. Meditation. It's the best thing in terms of your thoughts. And what you do in meditation is you just focus on your breath. But if you want to like change your thoughts, you don't actually change your thoughts. You just understand your thoughts, and you understand your thoughts through not judging them, right? So you don't want to judge your thoughts. You just want to observe them and see why you're thinking of them, and just think about why you're thinking this thing, right? Because a lot of people, they want positive thoughts, but the desire for positive thoughts is actually a negative thought in yourself. In itself. Because what happens when you don't have that positive thought? You're going to be like, oh, is something wrong with me? But just seeing a thought for a thought, positive or negative, just see it as a thought and observing it and not judging it is a way to change your thoughts, or at least change your perspective on like what thoughts actually are. So if you watch this like all the way through, you're my ideal customer. So I just want to add that I have free one-on-one coaching calls where I help young guys lost in their journey to self-improvement gain clarity and knowledge on how to actually start progressing in their goals without the uncertainty on whether they will achieve their goal or overcome their roadblocks. So again, it's free. You can just book the one-on-one call, and we can talk about whatever you feel like is stopping you from making progress and finally accelerating. So if you're interested, the link's in the description below in this video. Anyways, that's all I have for today. I wish you luck on your journey, and peace.